1/10 of a pound, 90% fat content, all beef, and no fillers. That describes everyone's favorite patty in a McDonald's hamburger. There's a lot of history behind the creation of that addictive sandwich, and many trials and errors that went into making it a permanent menu item for millions of Americans. Ready to see how one of the world's biggest fast food restaurant chains dominated the food industry? Interested in knowing what led to its exponential rise in popularity and its many successes? We'll get to all of that and more. When you think of what Americans really like about their country, hamburgers and witches will one of the first things they mention. And there's a pretty good reason behind that. It all goes back to the 20th century, with two brothers who wanted nothing more than to leave their uninspiring home in New Hampshire to become millionaires. It was Richard and Maurice McDonald, the masterminds behind the discovery of the power of fast food and movie theaters. To understand how the McDonald brothers opened up their first restaurant, we need to take a look at their interest in movies. After leaving for Hollywood, the brothers found themselves starting to get involved in movie production by working at Columbia Studios from 1926 up until 1930. They soon realized, however, that this kind of job would not make them millionaires. So, their next step was to start their own movie theater. It was simple, really. They had the experience, and they saw that people love watching entertainment. So they managed to buy the Mission Theater also in 1930. To fast forward through a couple of events, business was slow hot off the heels of the 1929 Great Depression, and there was little room for growth. However, there was one upside to this movie business. The McDonald's noticed that people love buying food before going into the theater. There was no doubt about it. The sales proved it, as a small root beer stand that sold hot dogs near their theater generated way more profit than their business did. And that's where the magic happened. It seemed that food plus movie theaters equal lots of money. Their next foray into the food industry, as a result, would prove to be a tremendous success. The brothers opened the Air Dome in 1937, and the food stand would sell hot dogs and hamburgers as mainstay menu items. This period was known for the McDonald's branching into barbecue, where they came up with the name McDonald Barbecue for the first time. As for business, people loved everything about it. This was the first time the brothers made money, and the place was known for those female servers who used to flirt with everyone coming in to get food, which gave the place its flair. In December of 1948, the brothers dropped the name McDonald Barbecue and settled for McDonald's, and that change was followed by a ton of other new business ideas. For one, they did away with the female servers because they made business slow. Moreover, they put more focus on making more of those delicious hamburgers because people bought that the most. Now, and here is where it gets both interesting and controversial. Many view the McDonald brothers as weak. Well, for one thing, they were complacent. They liked how their business was doing and wanted to stop expanding it after a certain point. They also had little vision for the future. All they cared about was going into McDonald's, working hard, and earning a big sum of money at the end of it, almost $100,000 a year at their apex. To their credit, they did do many things right. The Golden Arches design, for example, was something they came up with, and it remains a part of the brand until this day. That all changed when Ray Kroc entered the picture in 1954, the mastermind behind the modern-day McDonald's, and for many people, the real owner of the brand. Ray was to the brothers the multi-mixer man, referring to one of Ray's brightest business ventures. You could say that Ray was both impressed and disappointed by what he saw at McDonald's. He saw the potential behind the brand, but he hated how the brothers were lazy to capitalize on it. After a string of back and forth talks, Ray won the brothers over and convinced them to hire him to franchise their business. Business deals, new McDonald's restaurants, and a ton of changes later. Ray Kroc made the deal of the century by buying the brand from the brothers at the price of $2.7 million in 1961. That was a huge deal back then, and Ray never faltered in spending that much because it meant no more interruptions from the McDonald brothers and total control over the brand. And, of course, under Ray's management, McDonald's soared to new heights never before seen in the food industry. Ray opened his first McDonald's restaurant, 9th overall, in April of 1955. And the whole thing had a different look and feel to it. For one thing, Ray was a sucker for cleanliness and sanitization. He always made the point of keeping everything clean and tidy at the beginning and end of the day. A fun little concept he came up with that's still in practice today was a training program that later became Hamburger University. Ray's original training program in 1961 was all about teaching owner-managers how to effectively run a McDonald's restaurant. as he had a knack for finding the right people for the right job, no matter what it took. What was the secret menu item that kickstarted McDonald's rise to stardom? It was the Big Mac. Introduced in 1967 by Jim Delligatti, the Big Mac proved to be an instant hit among both the American population and other populations where McDonald's restaurants operated. It was just too good. The taste, the double patty, and the French fries all combined to make for an unforgettable eating experience. It was so popular that McDonald's branded the sandwich as a meal disguised as a sandwich. Smart business strategy right there. When Kroc passed away in 1984, the former food stand turned restaurant chain had by then 7,500 restaurants in the US and 31 other countries, and total sales were $8 billion. Nowadays, McDonald's has become part and parcel of American culture. You can now choose from a list of 145 menu items. But if you're like most people, you don't go to McDonald's for those smoothies and vegetable salads. You go to eat one of their big 5 menu items. They are Big Macs, Quarter Pounders, McNuggets, Freeze, and Egg McMuffins. These 5 alone account for 25% of McDonald's sales in the present day. So, with a total valuation of $273.30 billion as of 2022, 38,000 plus locations around the world, and a jaw-dropping 69 million people eating Big Macs every day, there must be a lot of lessons to learn from McDonald's success story. Right. Let's see what the educational value is by looking at what the brand did great at. The power of believing. Going back to the two brothers, both Richard and Maurice believed in their abilities to become millionaires. There was no doubt in their minds that the road would be long and hard. But by persevering and reminding themselves of their goals, they succeeded because they believed it was possible. Ray Kroc was a believer as well. He believed in the brand's potential, and he went against all odds to realize his vision of turning it into a global household name, with billions of dollars generated every year. Never stop believing in yourself and your vision, putting the customers first. One thing every owner of the McDonald's brand did right from day one was putting the customer first. It's pretty much the old adage of the customer is always right. For Kroc and the McDonald brothers, they knew people loved the restaurant for the delicious burgers first and foremost. Everything else came second. Sure, the restaurant with its homely design was eye-pleasing and everything, but it was the food that mattered most. By emphasizing what your customers want, you can make great profits and earn their trust and loyalty forever. Whether it was by offering a free item if customers didn't get their order in 1 minute, which was the logic behind the 2014 drive-through guarantee, or creating an entire customer experience team to help people coming in, McDonald's never shied away from treating its hungry customers right. Creative marketing campaigns and slogans. In business, if you don't market yourself, you're pretty much done. Effective marketing is how franchising and expansion are possible. It's also how you turn people into believers in your brand. McDonald's was a master of creating captivating marketing campaigns. They did it right in 1967 with McDonald's Is Your Kind of Place, in 2001 with Put a Smile On, or the awesome Happy Meal package that appealed to children and their parents, and so many other examples. There's a lot to unpack here, but let's just say that effective marketing is all about appealing to customers' basic emotions. In this case, it's building desire by presenting meals in a very flashy way under very flashy mottos. The Pareto principle. It's something not many people understand, but aspiring entrepreneurs would do well to imitate. The Pareto principle in business states that 80% of your profit will come from 20% of your products. That's really true of McDonald's when you look back at its history. Almost 85% of the brand's business comes from selling only 3/27ths of its products. These 3 items are the Big Mac, the French fries, and the Quarter Pounders. Always look for products and services that give back the greatest ROI in the least amount of time and effort. Whatever fluff you have, do away with it because it's lost revenue. That about sums up what we have to say about our favorite fast food restaurant. If you like McDonald's evolution, check out the rest of our playlist where we discuss in detail what other brands and great figures did on the road to becoming wealthy and successful.